Marcus Rixon, born and raised in Calcutta, India. I grew up pretty much my whole life in India with my mom and dad and a younger sister in a tiny home that was 12 feet by 6 feet wide, so pretty small. We really didn't have much to spare. I was 3.5 years old when my parents got a knock on the door from this organization called Mission of Mercy, saying, hey, we think that we'll be able to help you get an education for this child. A couple from Memphis, Tennessee, Dave and Regina, decided to sponsor a child for $39 a month, and that little kid was me.
I didn't realize that we were the sole supporters of a particular child until we met Marcus. That was pretty incredible.
I was in the 8th grade when a mission team had come from the States to be at my school, just share the music that they were creating, and I saw this happen and I fell in love with what was going on. And I approached my music teacher at that point in time and I said, hey, I want to do that. Fast forward, I finished high school. I applied to go to Asbury University and they accepted me. The tuition bill for the year was about $28,000. There's no way my parents could ever afford that. To give you a comparison, college in India cost you $1,500 a year. The university was able to give me a great scholarship, and then with my parents literally sacrificing everything they had and other family members that stepped up, and then Asbury also letting me work on campus, I was able to make enough money to pay my bills for every semester at a time.
When you initially apply for the F1 visa, right, you show proof of funds for one academic year. You don't have to show proof for all 4. When tuition goes up every year and situations back home can change, right, inflation, exchange rates change, then that's, I think, when we kind of see those students becoming late on their payments.
I would work and save up my money, but I would still fall short and have to back pay a lot of my bills. I had to figure out to come up with $10,000 before the first day of classes. The government had sent the university a note saying, hey, we know you have an international student that is behind his bills that needs to pay by first day of classes or he needs to be sent back to his home country. Those few weeks were probably the lowest point in my life. I remember just crying out to God and be like, why now? Why did you bring me this far? Why now? What is my purpose? What am I called to? But people show up, and especially the people of God show up.
I was working in the carpenter shop when Marcus came to work there, and he was a student worker. He was very eager to help. He was, just a good kid, and I didn't like to see him getting, financial straits over his situation.
They always talked positively about Marcus. Jim had posed the idea about Marcus possibly staying with us for a year. I just had this nagging thought that at least I should meet Marcus before saying no. And so then that's when we invited him over for dinner. He is so likable that it wasn't maybe halfway through dinner, the offer came out of our mouths.
That was crazy. That slashed my bill by $6,000. Jim and Deb decided to take me into their house. I lived with them for 2 years, and I got to go to school and finish college. And then I got to come back to Kentucky, finish school, graduated, moved to Nashville, started touring with artists during that season. And then 4 years ago, I decided to launch Rixon Entertainment Group. It's the company that now I run and own and manage artist careers and producers here in Nashville.
I was here when I finally met Marcus and met him through a good friend. I was just kind of going through some crazy stuff in my life and in my career, things were starting to really ramp up in a lot of areas and get, kind of dicey in some others. So I said to myself, I really need a manager. And I met up with Marcus in Franklin and heard his story and just got to know him really just for like an hour and a half. And I knew it was who I wanted to work with right away. He's really been the whole difference between that point in my career and my life until now. It really just blew my mind that the guy that has been helping me this whole time, the guy that has been really putting all these pieces together in my career, the reason he's here, helping me to this day is because two people sponsored him.
It doesn't matter where you come from or what your circumstances. God always has a greater plan for you. If you're willing to take that step of faith, it's His job to figure everything else out. It's His job to put the right people in your lives. Like in my life, my parents who supported my dream, Dave and Regina that helped me go through school through the One Child program, Jim and Deb letting me into their house, artists like Selah and Stars Go Dim and Nathan Sheridan and Natalie Lane that have now trusted me with the careers. And now owning a company that has multi-platinum selling artists.
There's just no way that it could be anything other than God Almighty orchestrating it.
That was literally God shifting me to being receptive.
And it's not about the money or the organization or anything like that. It's all God, doing this, but we're the hands and feet. So it looks like us doing it the whole time, but really it's God directing our steps.
Everybody can make an impact, and it doesn't have to be impact where you have to see like thousands and thousands of people that you're impacting. I say go impact the one. Because Dave and Regina's legacy does not end with me.